Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again. I'm Amanda, your host of the SmackDown review. Before we get to our review, there are a couple of major developing stories that we should talk about. Firstly, let's look back really quickly on Mania weekend, and I know you guys have probably, like me, listened to so many different reviews since Mania. I don't want to go into it too deeply, but just a few very quick thoughts. And Mania itself, well, I'd say a controversial one to say the least for so many reasons. Night one, there was a lot of noise online. People really didn't like night one. I didn't mind it at all. So we did get Cody defeating Randy Orton, meaning that Cody retained, and we got some post-match chaos, I'd say, with an Orton attack, on Cody. Also, in the process, McAfee got himself an RKO, so hopefully he is now done with WWE. And we got a pretty brutal-looking punt on Cody, leaving him with some quite significant-looking injuries. Some other key moments from night one, we had Liv Morgan defeating Stephanie Vaquer, which I think was expected, winning her the Women's World Championship. Gunther defeating Seth, which was obviously a massive win for Gunther, but obviously there was massive interference and help from outside. Becky Lynch defeating AJ Lee, which again I think was to be expected. LA Knight and the Usos defeating the little gang from Logan Paul's team, which was very celebrity heavy, very typical old school Mania type of match. And then we got Jacob Fatu defeating Drew McIntyre in the unsanctioned match. We got our returns from Paige and Bron Breakker, which was brilliant. We had a return of sorts from Bianca Belair, but not the kind we were expecting. She announced that she's pregnant, and massive congratulations to her. Now, I liked it, which I think I'm probably a lone voice for. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And then night two was generally considered to be much better, and it was better received. I think the flow was better. We had Roman Reigns defeating CM Punk, which for me is gutting. He's won the World Heavyweight Championship. It was a clean match, no interference to speak of. And then our other key results, we had Rhea, thank God, defeating Jade Cargill. Trick Williams defeating Sami Zayn. Obafemi defeating Brock Lesnar, and what looked like it might be Brock Lesnar's retirement. And we got Finn Balor as the Demon defeating Dominic Mysterio. Penta retained the Intercontinental title in what was an absolutely chaotic and show-stealing ladder match. As I said, it looks like we've got the end of Brock Lesnar's career. Trick Williams had a definite breakout moment, and as I said, this night definitely got stronger crowd reactions. There was a bigger attendance. I think it was 55,000. The night before was 50, and the pacing felt very good. I'm gutted that Punk lost. You all know I do not want to see another Roman absence run. For me, I gave this the same score as night one, 7.5. I think I'm basically alone with rating the two nights the same, but that's how I felt it all went down. And last word on Mania, let's hope that's the last we see or hear from McAfee on WWE TV at all, period. Now, one other thing which is breaking and developing and has been all night before SmackDown came on air tonight, we got what has become an unwanted and sad tradition, and that's the post-Mania release, and some really, really surprising ones here, for me definitely. So far, this round of releases, we have lost the whole of the Wyatt Six. This is surprising for me, at least. They had only just been in a feud with the MFTs, and although maybe they had lost direction a bit, they were, in my opinion, still a really great faction and seemed to be very over with the crowd. We've also lost Zelina and Aleister Black. This one, not a surprise massively. Black has been floundering somewhat directionless since he came back. And attaching him with Zelina didn't seem to help at all. A massive surprise for me, at least, is the departure of Kairi Sane. Again, recently on TV and featuring quite prominently with Asuka. The Motor City Machine Guns have gone. Again, not a massive surprise. They seem directionless with no good story recently. For me, a real shame, as I thought these two had real talent, real athleticism, and brought something very different to the division. We've also lost Zoe Stark, who's been out for about a year with an injury, but allegedly had recently been cleared for action. We've lost Alba Fire, leaving Chelsea without her secret Hervis. So wondering what they're going to do with Chelsea now. She's obviously been out for a month or so with an injury as well. So hopefully she can work her way back, perhaps a small character rejig, and get her back into the picture. And then finally, Santos Escobar, but at the moment, as far as I can see, Los Garza still seem to be on the roster. Always horrible for people to lose their jobs. Some have posted quite sweet goodbyes. For example, Nikki Cross, very humble, thanking everyone involved. And then Zelina, who took the opportunity to have a massive pop at SRS, which I think is, not at all fair. If you've got the information, obviously, and that's your business, you're going to put it out there. So I think an unfair swipe from Zelina. But obviously she is quite salty at being let go. But for me, to be honest, it's probably time for Zelina to move on. Anyway, two big stories to talk of outside of SmackDown. And as always, particularly with the releases, they do seem to drip them throughout a couple of days. So there may be more people being let go. Anyway, let's get to it and review the SmackDown that aired 24th of April from Fort Worth, Texas. And of course, we start with a recap from Mania, and then we go to our rivals. We've got Cody looking pretty beat up, and Joe tells us the Punk kick he received has left everyone questioning his future. There's been a bunch of speculation online and on podcasts this week that Cody might be in a position of relinquishing the title because his injury is genuine. I really hope not, but let's see. We then get Rhea arriving, who thankfully is our new champion after dethroning Jade. We then got Little Yachty and Trick. Apparently these two are an official double act now. They've got the gingerbread man with them still. And we get Danhausen. He comes up in his weird coffin-shaped car. Side note, though, apparently his merch has exceeded all records over the Mania weekend. First out for the action tonight, we've got Fatu after beating Drew in the unsanctioned match. And let's see what he has to say. What's next for him after he challenged Roman on Raw? He says that on Monday, he told Roman that he wanted him. He said he didn't want the title, he needed it. He says he looked him in the eye and he told him that he wasn't ready. He says that's the truth. He's right. He's never been ready and he has heard it his whole life. He goes up close to the camera and he tells Roman to step into the ring and prove to him he isn't ready. And with that, we get the Usos out. And they seem to have now fully reprised their roles as Roman's sidekicks, which is a massive shame, but we can circle back to that at the end of this segment. There's no yeeting, just moody-looking Usos, and I personally wonder how long they will stay over without the yeeting, which is by far the most popular thing about either of the Usos. Jimmy says they heard what he says and how he wants to level up. Jimmy says that Cody is there for the taking, and he should take it to him, but what he shouldn't do is come for the OTC. Jimmy tells him to join the family and run the play with them. The crowd are cheering for Fatu. They seem to want him to head straight towards Roman. And the Usos then firmly turn on the crowd, calling them idiots. Jay says it's too late. He says you stepped up and opened your mouth. You're in the deep end. Jay says you want respect from Roman. You have to walk right up to him, look him in the eye, and get ready for war. We now get the Solo out with his MFTs. Solo tells Jacob, are you hearing this? Don't listen to what those two are saying, they're lying. He says, where were they when no one wanted you? He says it was me who brought you back to WWE. He asks what the Usos are going to teach Fatu, which is a great point. He seems to have far exceeded their level already. Solo tells Fatu not to listen to them, and if he wants to beat Roman and be champion, he can do that for him. He says he won't be alone. He says he needs an army, and he's got an army. Tama grabs the mic off Solo and asks why we're out here wasting our time with this. Tama tells Solo, you think Jacob will beat Roman when he can't even beat you. Fatu then delivers Tama Tonga a massive kick, and the rest of the MFTs are held back by Solo. Fatu says the only one who should be talking is Roman, but he says he can beat Solo tonight and the match gets set. So let's break down this opening segment. First of all, why and how do we have the Usos back to the Bloodline days just like that? I mean, I know why in practical terms. We have a part-time Roman champion situation, so we need the supporting cast to step up again and do all the heavy lifting in terms of storyline. So inexplicably, the Usos go from over tag team to sidekicks in the course of a week. As I said, I question how long they will remain fan favourites if they drop the yeeting entrance, as that's what's really over here. Enter Solo. Well, I guess this is solid enough and was a good way to continue to make Fatu look strong, although he didn't really need it. He beat Drew down in a very brutal match. But we are clearly taking the family angle again, and all the gang is back together to carry Roman's latest title run. Annoying much. However, Roman did say on the WrestleMania Night 2 post-show that he was back for the summer. I guess that means he'll be appearing sporadically between now and SummerSlam, and hopefully we'll see him drop the title at SummerSlam. I certainly have no interest in another super long Roman run, and do you know what? It just isn't the same without it all being led by Heyman. We go to Kathy backstage, who's got Kiana and Julia looking a bit salty with each other. She asks Julia if she feels the pressure. Julia and Kiana say they both feel disrespected. They weren't on Mania. Julia says she will beat Tiffy later. Kiana then turns on Kathy and says they only bicker when she's around. Trouble in Paradise is being pushed very hard here. We now have that women's US title match. So it's Tiffy versus Julia. And how much would we like to see a Tiffy win here? Yes, please. I'm not sure what kind of match we're going to see here. Clearly there's issues being pushed between Kiana and Julia, so maybe that will play into things. Let's see. This one kicks off, and Wade reminding us that the last time Kiana got involved, getting the win for Julia. And we've got Tiffy showing off her gymnastic ability in the early goings, and there are some quick fire pin attempts for both women. The match is quite a nice one. It finishes off as Julia lands the out of a dirty kick and the Northern Lights, which Tiffy counters and manages to hit the prettiest moonsault and wins the title, which is incredibly satisfying. And as Kiana looks on from her failed shenanigans ringside, we've got a new champ, and let's hope and pray they do a great job with this title run for Tiffy. I am optimistic. Very happy to see her as champ, and now we await the inevitable split and subsequent matches between Kiana and Julia, which actually, might be okay. We then get a bit between Danhausen and Miz. Danhausen is in his house, and Paul, I have to say, Danhausen might be growing on me a bit. Next out, we have our new women's tag champs, Brie and Paige, and I can't tell you how happy I am to see Paige back home in WWE. Brie says it does feel incredible to be standing here as champion. She says that Mania was really special. She's happy that she could count on Paige as a friend and as a sister. She welcomes her back and gets a huge pop of the crowd, also chanting welcome back. Paige asks if they missed her, says she's lost her voice, but what a week. She says when she got the call to be at Mania, she says what a time to be home and walk out of Mania as champs. She says it was a rough road to get here, but she's so happy to be home. She says they were in the ring at Mania with some of the best competitors in the locker room, but she wants to remind them all on SmackDown that this is her house and her and Brie aren't going anywhere. Cue Shalexa, who come out to a great pop as always. Flair says it's good to see you back, and Bliss agrees. But they have something they want. Bliss says they've worked for months to get those titles. Flair says if you want to prove this is your house, they should face Bliss and Flair, which the crowd seem very up for, and they agree to the match tonight, and it's on, so it should be very interesting. As we come back from the break, we are randomly already underway with this match. We've got Brie in with Bliss, and everyone is preventing the tag to Paige. When she does get tagged in, we are going to have a massive pop. The crowd are cheering. They just want to see Paige wrestle. Just as Paige is about to get tagged in, we have JC Jane attack Paige, and then Fatal Influence appear and take out all of the women in this match. And wow, they look impressive as hell. They leave these 4 legend superstars laying in the ring, and they are here. I'm guessing it's a call-up. I don't hate that at all. In fact, I think it's awesome. So obviously a DQ finish. We never got to see Paige, which was frustrating for both the TV audience and I'm sure the crowd live in Texas. But what an interesting development. The seasoned performers doing a great job getting these call-ups from NXT over. I guess watch this space. Next out we have Cody, and I am praying, please do not relinquish that title, Cody. He gets a slightly mixed reaction, but I would say more cheering than heat. He says he wants to talk about how he left Mania, battered, half-conscious and bloody, but he still walked up the ramp. He says he feels that's the job of the champion, and he says his superpower is to always get back up. He says this run, by which I think he means his run in WWE, started 4 years ago at Mania, and he wanted to send a message. He knew that when he left Mania this year, he wasn't going to be medically cleared, but he wanted to let Randy know, who incidentally is not here tonight, that even after Randy's best shot after the bell, he is still here. He also wanted to send a message to Sammy, who was very condescending to him, called him a golden boy, and he wanted to let Sammy know that his outfit at Mania, being all gold, was a snide nod to that, saying that everyone close to Cody will remain to be gold. And then the main message to the outside forces, so I'm guessing TKO, The Rock, Cena, etc., who keep trying to undermine him: send your best or count your money and mind your business. Which was brilliant. The crowd loved that. He says he's easy to find, whoever you are and wherever you are. I'm here as champ. Easy to find, hard to beat. I thought this was a great promo from Cody. Really good, sending a message to whoever wants some. Now, no immediate clues who the next feud might be with, but that's okay. We don't need the answers on night one. Let's let it sit and build. Just a massive relief that at the moment, at least, it doesn't seem to be that Cody's medical condition is enough to make him relinquish the title. So keeping everything crossed that he can recover and continue his title run. When are we going to see Randy again? Who knows? Guess maybe he might take a bit of time off, maybe come back with a slightly different character. I do wonder if we're going to get any further explanations from Randy why he chose to listen to McAfee, and also why then he chose to suddenly not listen to McAfee and RKO him at Mania. But let's see. We go backstage now to the MFTs, and Solo is telling them that tonight is simple. He says he wants the tag titles back, and he warns them not to mess it up. He says tonight he's going to show Fatu a lesson that he can't beat Roman without them. Next out, we've got Priest and Truth versus the MFTs for the tag titles, and the MFTs here represented by JC Mateo and the Want-Away Tama Tonga. We start off with Truth in with Tama, and Truth is getting pretty beat up, but in Truth fashion, he makes a good comeback, and this one doesn't last long as Tama headbutts the ring post. Truth and Priest hit Rise Up and retain the titles, which continues to be surprising, however, pretty cool. The falling apart of the MFTs seems to continue. Solo is going to be mad as hell that they were unable to get the titles back off Priest and Truth. I've got to say, I don't mind this partnership at all. It's fun and it's a good twist on the men's tag title scene. Next out, almost immediately, we've got the celebration of Trick Williams. He's still got Little Yachty in tow, along with the Gingerbread Man. Trick says that people are excited to celebrate with him as the new champion. He says at Mania they were all there. They weren't there to gamble or drink. They were here to whoop that Trick. Little Yachty says that he's here to stay post-Mania. And they say they run SmackDown. Little Yachty says they're doing away with the open challenge. He says Trick is the opportunity and they aren't giving away free opportunities anymore. So as expected, the open challenge is no more, but I think that's okay. It doesn't fit with a heel gimmick, really. And just as we're about to end the segment, the Gingerbread Man turns on Trick and Little Yachty, walloping them with his candy cane. And here was me just thinking briefly that the Gingerbread Man would be someone cool, like maybe KO, but no, it's just Sammy, and the crowd hate it. He has managed to get himself some mega heat, getting told in no uncertain terms that he sucks. So for me, I think the segment was a bit disappointing. I guess we're going to carry on with Sammy versus Trick, and Sammy looks really pleased with himself, but I don't like it. I would like to see Trick go on and face a new cohort of people. Kathy has Royce Keys backstage and asks him what his win in the Jobble Battle Royal meant to him. He says the last few weeks has been emotional, but he says he is just getting started and that he takes everything he wants. Randomly, we get Solo arriving and telling Royce that he can join the MFTs if he wants. I don't see that happening. Next up, we've got Danhausen versus The Miz, but honestly, Danhausen is so over, it's crazy. Miz has Kit with him, starts off strong, but Danhausen pulls off an Undertaker sit-up, cursing Miz behind his back, getting a roll-up victory for the quick win. I think that match lasted about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm won over, I'll admit it. I am completely here for Danhausen in a surprising 360 for myself. Post-match, we get Miz chasing Danhausen as Wade says Benny Hill style round the ring. Danhausen escapes underneath and takes his little wacky racist car out of the stadium. We get a promo for the Glamour, Blake Monroe. Apparently she's beauty, she's grace, she'll punch you in the face. Now that's a line I can very much get on board with. I absolutely love that. I don't know much, if anything, about Blake Monroe. I've heard some of the hype, so do know that she's very highly thought of and has some talent. Do we think she's coming to SmackDown soon? That will be interesting for sure if that is the case. Next out, we have Rhea, our new champion. And again, thank God, we have a real champion again. Rhea says Mami is finally champion again. She says at Mania, Jade proved she could go, but now it's time for her to prove the champion is a fighting champion. She says she knows there's loads of women out the back who want a shot and issues an open challenge to come take it. We then get Fatal Influence out again. JC says, we get it, you're a star. The crowd are absolutely nuclear on these three. You can barely hear her. She says she's waited long enough to get here. She tries to shut the crowd up. She says she'll be the first to give her credit for a big win at Mania, and the crowd are, this is Dom level when he first turned heel. You can barely hear Fatal Attraction over the level of booing. She says that everyone wants to know who credit goes to for taking out the precious legends early on, and that's Fatal Influence. Rhea says taking out that many legends is quite impressive, but she says her advice is to stop while they're ahead. They say what we did to them is nothing compared to what we're about to do to you, Rhea. Rhea says, wow, she thought Jade was cocky. She's used to the numbers game and it doesn't matter. So if they want to fight, she's ready. JC says Fatal Influence are always ready to throw hands. We then get Nick out and he tells JC her punishment for what they did earlier is facing Rhea one-on-one, and that match happens right now. And that's interesting. The heat these guys have got instantly is super impressive, and the crowd seem to legit hate them, which is great. I mean, you come up to the main roster, you take out 4 of some of the best loved legends on the women's roster. You then come out and ruin Mummy's celebration. Again, probably the most over superstar on the roster, man or woman at the moment. Look at the reaction to them. And then look at the reaction to Nia and Lash. It's like chalk and cheese, and it happened in a flash tonight. Faith restored in WWE storyline. And we kick off with the other 2 members of Fatal Influence ringside, and Rhea making her power show right off the bat. Rhea about to go up top, which we don't often see. She's knocked down by JCJ. We get Rhea hitting the Razor's Edge and almost gets the win, but Jace kicks out. And this is actually a great match, with JC being made to look absolutely epic here. Rhea is about to hit Riptide, and we think we know the rest of the story, but before she can hit it, the other 2 members of Fatal Influence get involved, taking out Rhea's knee, ending in the DQ finish and a massive beatdown for Rhea. Wow, what a debut from these girls. They are made to look super strong, clearing house all night against the top talent that SmackDown has to offer. We then get Rhea backstage in the medical room with Flair and Bliss. She says to Flair, "Do we have a problem?" Bliss says, "Yeah, Fatal Influence," and Flair tells Rhea she'll get her hands on JCJ next week. This is really fun. I am absolutely loving this. What a score. Next up, our main event, Fatu versus Solo, and again, this could be great. I am fully expecting Fatu to half kill Solo, especially after Mania, and given how over Fatu actually is, I can't see any other result. And we start off very much in that way, with Fatu showing Solo what's what. We get plenty of shenanigans from the MFT's ringside, who play at distracting the ref and causing chaos. We also have the Usos lingering on the ramp, which is like some very weird battle for the soul of Jacob Fatu. Fatu, though, does pick up the win here with his mighty moonsault, which is awesome, and he continues to look great. Inevitably, though, at the end, we get a full-on attack from the remaining MFTs. This brings the Usos down to the ring finally, but Fatu does not need them. He beats down the MFTs, no help needed, with some running hip attacks in each corner, with the MFTs with chairs around their necks, which looked absolutely brutal, and he basically takes them all out, absolutely no trouble at all. We go off air with Fatu looking so strong, taking out all the MFTs and the win versus Solo. Looks like Roman can't hide from Fatu, and that this is certainly going to happen, and I am very much here for it. I would love to see Fatu take that belt off Roman. I mean, if it could happen at Backlash, that would be awesome, but obviously it's not going to. Roman said he's here all summer, which means I'm guessing he's going to drop the belt at SummerSlam. So let's see how this all plays out. Listen, I thought this was actually a great show. A good follow-up to Mania and some good new storylines, call-ups to come, and progression of what we have left. Honestly, the only thing I'm not crazy about in the whole picture is Trick and Sammy carrying on. Everything else is a win. I'd love to know what you guys thought, but personally, I thought SmackDown after Mania beat the pants off of Raw after Mania this year. And I don't think either have been particularly strong over past years. So let's hope that we are onwards and upwards as we go into, I guess what is quote unquote the new season of WWE. So for me, all looking pretty good. That just about does it for this week's show. Thank you for having me in your ears once again. And remember, until next time, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.